Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Game and we are returning to Let's Play of War in the West. So let's start with our recap of what's going on and our briefing for the next week. So we've got the US Army Air Force, which is currently set to strike towards Hanover. If you remember well, last time we did strike at the Black Hammer synthetic refuel refineries down here in Czechoslovakia, and we did strike at the Outer Union Zwickau works in the vehicle yards over here. 90% damage, as you can see, so that's pretty nice. But this time around we are striking Hanover, which we haven't, I think we haven't targeted so far. Now, because last week's missions were quite taxing on the US Army Air Force, we don't have that many planes available. As you can see, a lot of our squadrons here are set to rest because of high exhaustion or low morale. So we only have a couple of aircraft really that are going to be flying this time around. So I did pick a target that was a little bit closer so that we can make sure that we have escorts over here. And as you can see, we are sending in about nearly 150 planes or so towards guarding these guys. No, actually 150 escort planes here. So very well guarded mission that is going to strike here onto Hanover. Their main targets are going to be the vehicle yards down here, and I think we also set up as sort of an auxiliary thing the attacks here on the AFV. Let's actually make sure that you're also taking pictures of that, and that's fine. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so I try to find out what the vehicle yards over here are actually referring to, and I think it is the Hanomag factory that is primarily the company was producing the SDKFZ 251, as you can actually see over here. So there's a lot of production of these guys going on, but they also produced a couple of trucks and locomotives for steam locomotives. So that, I think, is what's going on over here. Hanomag was later on merged into Rheinmetall after the war, and then into the Henschel, so also the aircraft manufacturer Henschel Motor Works. Later on went bust, went into Daimler, then took, I think, an American company, and today is owned by a Japanese company, but there's very little production going on in Hanover from these guys. Nevertheless, we're going to strike them with our B-17s here. It's a small target comparatively, with only 13 targets over here, so you know what, let's see how well that is going to go. You know what, I think we could actually reduce the amount of aircraft that we're going to send in here, and that would still be okay-ish. So 48, I think that's going to be fine. And do you know what? We could do a lot more strikes over here, I figure. And one more thing that we might want to do is we might actually want to strike the U-boat yards here as well. So I guess that's just simple engine manufacturing or some prefab stuff, because this is obviously very far away from the sea. Without further ado, the Royal Air Force is this time around going to strike two cities. So last time they did take quite a bit of a beating over here. No, that's not true. Last time around they were trying to strike Paris, and that was going reasonably well. So this time around we are a little bit stronger here with over 400 aircraft. We're going to go on a night mission here against Cologne. And again, the target here is primarily going to be the vehicle yards, but we're also going to try to target the heavy industry here a little bit. Not too much, but you know what, it's going to be a good mission. And the reason for that is, again, these guys have repaired a little bit. So you can see there's 67% damage on the 45 Ford Motor Vehicle Yards factory there. So that's netting to about a 15, or an expectation value of 15 of a level 15 factory. So I think it's an okay-ish target. It's not going to be fantastic. There's a lot of rain and stuff, but it's okay. And then we have a very small raid here with just a couple of aircraft, just 100 aircraft here, that are going to strike on Eindhoven. Again, the vehicle yards are going to be our main target here, but we might also just target the heavy industry a little bit. And as per usual now, we are using intruder missions here for the Royal Air Force Fighter Command to basically shoot down a couple of aircraft night fighters as they are landing. One thing I should mention is we've pulled out quite a couple of our guys here, so quite a couple of fighters from over here, night fighters that we previously used, because I think with the Mosquitoes and the Lightnings we are now fine, and that should basically be okay-ish over there. Nevertheless, there's also a couple of aircrafts that are flying over here. Not a big deal really. So that's it for Northern Europe. We're not using our tactical aircraft there. Now in the south things are a little bit more complicated. Let's get rid of that. So firstly, you can see we've established quite a couple of naval patrols over here from the 201 group and 242 group. So these guys are now flying out of Sicily or Sardinia respectively, and they are trying to establish some naval superiority so that we can launch some naval attacks ultimately towards Anzio and Lido di Roma, if that is required at that point, but we do want to build up our naval control here. So that should hopefully be a-okay. Mostly these guys are torpedo planes down here. I didn't want to show you all of these details. Now, there's a little bit of ground support going on over here. As you can see, the Germans have actually pushed back a little bit over here. So instead of these positions, they evacuated and they tried to get away a little bit, which is kind of interesting because they are now very exposed. And nevertheless, we do need to make sure that we are killing them off over here. But I think we will be doing fine over here. Nevertheless, I have set up the 12th Tactical Air Command here to strike them with the Typhoons and Hurricanes, all of that. So the single-engine ground attack aircraft. Lastly, we have set up a couple of missions over here. As you can see, the Germans are building sort of, I want to see the, is it the Gustav line in the middle of Italy? So they are building fortifications over here in these sort of, in the rivers, in the mountains. You can see Monte Cassino over here. So yeah, they are trying to establish a front line over here. And what I want to do is, we're going to send in both 12 Bomber Commands, so the 2-engine aircraft, and the 4-engine aircraft here on a mission to do two things really: strike the rail yards and disrupt the rail traffic itself. So primarily I want to avoid them bringing further troops and maybe reduce their capabilities of sourcing supplies from over here. So I think that would be fantastic. I took great care so that we are not really attacking any of the rail yards that you can see that are outside of this area. Because ultimately these might be the areas that we need to reinforce quite strongly. So let's see whether that is going to work out, whether we can actually disrupt them reinforcing this position. And that is basically it. Oh yeah, just a small strike over here with Bomber Command to again reduce the port level over here. I think we're doing quite well actually, so the port is pretty damaged so far. So without further ado, let's resume the game over here, and I'm going to talk about the ground phase later on when that actually is done. So overall, pretty much a strike on the vehicles, and I want to show you one further thing in regards to the oil situation of the, or the fuel situation of the Germans. So as you know, Germany is sourcing about 50% of its oil. Oh, there you can see a lot of strikes, that's nice. It's sourcing about 50% of its fuel from oil, so from just crude oil that is being refined, and about 50% comes from their synthetic fuel refineries. Ooh, very nice damage over there, so that's great to see. Yeah, and the other 50% that we are seeing, oh, we're taking quite a lot of losses down here, and the other 50% is coming from the synthetic refineries, and they have got a couple of these, and we are trying to strike them pretty much all, but we'll need to see whether that is going to work out. So, let's start out here by the Americans. So the Americans have flown 23 missions, which is very nice to see, and they are doing quite a bit of damage here. We've lost 32 aircraft, we've shot down 28. That is brilliant. The Germans will never be able to sustain this amount of losses in the long term or even short term, so that is very nice to see. We're doing a lot of damage here, also against the Panther works, which I very much appreciate. So yeah, nice. I think this is okay-ish. The U-boat factory damaged a little bit, that's nice, and I suppose you're not capable of doing a lot of damage since you had done that already. Why are you taking so many losses over here? Is that just flak or something? No, ops losses, we don't know where they're coming from. That's a bit awkward. I mean, it's quite a substantial amount of losses here on this strike, but as you can see, they were trying to intercept us, but they weren't really that strong, so I think that is... I call this definitely a win over here. With only 32 aircraft lost on our side and a lot of aircraft lost on theirs, I'm going to be very happy with that. I don't quite know why sometimes we're losing so many of our aircrafts here. Let's take a brief look here. So these are the Mosquitoes. That's unfortunate. But nevertheless, I mean, yeah, Mosquitoes are two-engine aircraft, so they are going to have a harder time against their guys, but nevertheless they are taking here some losses of very experienced guys, so yeah, I'm gonna be happy. This is nice. This is a good result. Sometimes it just pulls up this. No, I want this. Okay, so that's fine. How did Bomber Command do? We've got these two missions over here. So first one over, is that Cologne? Yeah, that seems to be Cologne. So we are losing a couple of aircraft here. 13 in total, 11 Germans. You know what? That's fine. I think this is a good enough result over there. And we are also doing a fantastic amount of damage here, 15%. That is definitely nice to see. And then another 10% down there, so 25%. I think we're doing fairly fine over here. So that seems to be reducing their vehicles there quite a bit. And then at Eindhoven, so in the Netherlands, we are doing, as we expected since this is a smaller factory, we are doing quite a bit of damage here. Still, we are losing 6 aircraft, 11 on the enemy side though. Happy about that. That is very nice. So what are you losing here? Probably ME110s. Is that it? Is that what you're losing? Yeah, BF110s. Nice. I like to see that. That is a good result for us. Good. Okay, so that's basically it for these guys. Strategic Air Force down here. You guys were targeting some rail yards who seem to be doing fine. Not much air battles down here in Italy. Still quite a bit of damage here on these rail yards. Good to see, I think. Yeah, that's actually very nice. So I think the 48 aircraft group is sort of a good mix there. Right, Desert Air Force, you're not doing anything. You guys here are losing 25 aircraft. What's going on? What was going on here? So we were flying naval interdiction, and we were intercepted before by what? BF110s. Okay, you guys are much stronger than I would have anticipated. I would also have anticipated that our Kitty Hawks here, so these are basically Warhawks, P40s, would actually be able to take on these guys much more strongly. But you really weren't. Wow. That is a drastically bad result. Okay, I had not expected that our naval interception would be so drastically intercepted here. But on the other hand, we did increase interdiction by quite a bit, so that's nice to see. How about down here? So you guys are losing much less, so that's great. It is only really the guys that are on the front. Okay, we will need to reinforce their fighter positions. Interesting. And then we've got Tactical Air Command, so you guys were dealing quite a bit of damage here against these Germans. That's nice to see. Losing a couple of planes in the process, that's to be expected, mostly since you're flying in very low. Oh, you're also interdicting. I didn't know you did that. I thought you were primarily focused on ground attack, but that's fine. And then we've got Bomber Command again. You guys are targeting the rail yards over there, so how well did you do there? Railway attacks, rail use. So rail use goes up sometimes very little, sometimes a lot. And the rail yards are being targeted, so that's nice to see. I think the rail yards should have received a little bit more priority, but nevertheless I think that is a good result over here that we can see. Great, and then lastly against the port over here on Sardinia. Very little damage, but all in all it seems to be okay. Right, so all in all I think not a bad result, with the one exception of the naval strike here. That was really, we do need more over there. Also interesting, yeah, okay, these guys were just intercepted there. I wonder where they are flying from. Probably Umbria region. Let's see about that. Anyway, let's get over towards the ground attack. So basically, yeah, losses 6, 3, 2. That's not really big losses. This is kind of hefty. 25 losses there. Minimal losses here, minimal losses there. That's all okay. I like that. Good. Alright, so let's get rid of the air phase over here and look at the ground phase. So let's start out by what the Germans did last time around. They were trying to break out here. They were actually shattering that brigade. That's not a big deal because these guys were scheduled to withdraw anyway. So it's not that bad, but on the other hand they didn't even lose anything. So it's unfortunate, but not a big deal, I would say. And up over here, they again shattered some Italians there, so not great, not terrible. We'll have to see. I mean, basically these guys were withdrawn. Alright, so let's get over then to movement and all of that. So we've still got a couple of Germans here. How is the port looking, I wonder? Can we actually briefly see that? So yeah, let's look at that. So port is 93% damaged. I think they should have problems sourcing reinforcements, but apparently they are not. And that being said, the greatest news is we've received the 8th Indian Division over here. They actually appeared in Northern Africa. I've moved them over here in between turns, but they are now here and they could actually reinforce us. So the question is, what do we want to do with you guys? And I'm guessing we should do something now that all of the Italians have gone. And the question is really, can we reasonably expect that this Panzer Grenadier division here is going to be beaten by a single division? And I think the answer to that is no. So I think you guys are perfectly holding him in place. So what we might want to do then is take you guys and move you out to the north over here. That's going to take a while until you get there really. But you know what, that's going to be okay. Right, let's actually bring you up all the way over here. That's alright. And you guys, I mean, you are American, but nevertheless, okay. I think it's okay. You do source your supply from over here, right? So, or do you source your supply from the headquarters? I don't actually know. Well, let's see. Anyway, we've got 2 divisions down here, so these guys should hold them in place quite nicely. How about Corsica? We've only got the Free French over here from Morocco, so you guys are not necessarily extremely strong. So I don't think you'll be able to beat pretty much anyone. You might not even be able to beat this Stern Brigade over here. It would be very nice to prevent them from withdrawing. But with all of these fortifications, I don't think that is actually viable. So what we might actually need to do is simply pull back over here instead of exposing ourselves any further. So let's keep in this port and see whether we can move out from here at a later stage. But I think for now we can't really hope to break through over here. Our forces are just too weak, and I think we do need to build up some supplies and all of that. So yeah, you guys are going to be fine over there. And then we've got Italy. Most importantly, we've got these Germans here who've been beaten heavily by air attack. So that's very nice to see. And then we've got all of this area over here. You can see the Germans are building sort of a holding line, I would say, against our advance. They are taking some troops here towards Neapels, the 4th Fallschirmjäger Division. So that is interesting. And someone over here just really doesn't have supply. Okay, some engineering battalion. Doesn't matter too much, I think. Right, we've got the Tactical Air Force. You guys can move out, so that's nice. You guys should move over here so that you're starting to build up some preparation. You guys are preparing anyway, so that's nice to see. You guys are likewise preparing, so that's good to see. And we've got some engineers here who are just building up airports and stuff. So that is all pretty good down here. I think we've basically nothing to do down here. Right, what we do need to do is think about how we deal with these Germans. Now, I think the first thing that we probably want to do is move up 13th Corps over here so that these guys can attack, and maybe get rid of you guys. Do I want to do a deliberate attack or a hasty one? Let's do a hasty one first. Maybe that is going to be enough. Okay, they are retreating. They're taking quite heavy casualties. We're only losing just a little bit. 2 tanks down here, so yeah, I think that's very nice of them. So let's do another hasty attack then up over here, and I think that should finish them off. No, they are further retreating. They're actually retreating into these mountains, which is honestly a little bit annoying. So can I do anything about that? Well, I should have one more division down here of 13th Corps, right? So let's get you over here, and then I do want to do a deliberate attack over here because it's across the river into the mountains. It's gonna be tough, but these guys must be beaten down so badly that I don't think, yeah, they are. There we go. They are surrendering. We are not even losing anything. So basically they just waited for us to get over and hand over the platoon. So that's nice. You guys can, I think, very collectively just advance a little bit. Doesn't matter too much, right? So yeah, let's get the headquarter in here as well. And someone over here is, no, you're all 30th Corps. So that's fine. So you guys have dealt with that. And I think at that point we're going to pull the Canadians up here. And we are going to move them over across the river, of course. That's nice. Let's move you across the river. Who's the strongest of you guys? That's you. Let's move you up over here. Then we're going to collect all of these guys here and do another hasty attack on this stack. I think they are so beaten by air attack that they are probably going to retreat. They are, so that's nice, good. And actually it's 0 attack for now, so what we might want to do then, okay, let's grab you guys over here. And yeah, let's just bolt them that way. So I think they should have surrendered there, shouldn't they? I think they are gone, or at least they are being pushed back. So that's very nice here. Great. And let's get these Americans and let's fan out a little bit so that we are advancing. I think we want to get this harbour over here. We could try to get for Bari immediately. That's a level 4 port, that's a level 2 port. But there are some good airfields over here which I would like to attack and build up. So yeah, let's get you over here. We are capturing a depot, that's nice. And I think that should capture this port here. Yeah, it does. So that's great. And then we are capturing this airfield here. It's a little detour, but I think a good one it is. So yeah, you guys can advance all the way to Foggia. Now we do need to take Bari at some point, because it is a very great port, and it does allow us to reinforce ourselves quite nicely. We've also got these Americans. You guys could come all the way over here, but you could also make your way to Salerno at the very least. How about we switch you over? So you guys move to Salerno? No, that's not really viable. Okay, yeah. So we're going to have the Americans on both flanks. That's not ideal, because that for command and control purposes. But I think it's okay. Right, and then we can advance you all the way over here. Grab some territory that way. And then, you know what? You guys don't need to capture Bari now. Let's make sure that we are capturing Foggia. And that we have some level of control here. We could actually attack one of these guys here, the Panzer Grenadier Division, for example. They are not really that strong. Okay, let's do a small hasty attack over here. Okay, they are committing another division, so we are losing some men over here, and that just doesn't work out, I think. Nope, they are holding, but that's fine. We have at least tried, so that's good, I think, yeah, good. Alright, so I think the rest is just moving up our divisions over here, so most importantly 5th Corps. Okay, you guys are capable enough of going here, that's okay. Then you guys have basically all moved up as far as you can, so we've got one more American division. You can move up all the way over here, that's okay-ish. Then we've got the 30th Corps. I think we're going to just advance you sort of this way, and hope that you guys will be able to... Anyone else has got a lot of movement points? Yeah, you do. Yeah, can you move up? Yeah, you can at least cross the river, so that's nice. Good. Your headquarters is somewhere down here? Yeah, there we are, 13th Corps. So let's move you sort of in the middle of that, and that should be okay. Right, small brigade over here. Let's move you up as well, so that's nice. Good. I like it. Right, army headquarters can likewise move up, I suppose. And then we've got another division down here that is directly assigned to the army. You are a special service brigade. What are you actually, what's your elements like? Okay, you're just commando and stuff. So honestly, we might primarily want to merge you up with that headquarter. Okay, let's take the headquarter then, move you down here, and let's look at these guys here and convert you. Yeah, there we go. So you should now be ready to be assigned. Good. Let's take a look at the railway situation. So I think it's quite clear that we want to move up over here and just basically build up the railway line as far as possible and have one continuous line. Now I could of course jump ahead a little bit, maybe towards Toronto itself, but I think it's gonna be okay to build that up sort of this way. Right, and then we can... Now, we could try to build all of this up. I think it's a little bit of a waste though. We don't really need all of these railway lines, right? So if we look at the depots over here, we do have a good harbour at Toronto itself. We do have a decent harbour. No, that's a small harbour actually. So we are sending some supplies up this way basically, and we will be able to bring it up towards at least here. But nevertheless, why would we need that line, that rail line over here? We do need some way to send supplies this way ultimately, but I think it is just simply going to be faster to build up this rail line down here, or actually just merge that up there. But we don't need to loop around over here and come back, I think. So what we might actually want to do then is move you up as far as possible. And where would that actually be? So where do we have rail lines? Okay, you have been not repaired, so we could move you here via rail and then disembark you, but that would just sort of not get us anywhere, I think. So that being said, I think we're going to move you up sort of manually, going to hop over a couple of these points, because again, they're not that relevant. So you might want to get over here. Why can I not repair over there? Because we've just captured that. Is that it? Yeah, I think so. Okay, in that case, can I move you up into this hex there? No. Okay, let's move you anyway over here, and then next time around we'll be able to move up a little bit further. Right, some further headquarter units here that can move up at least a little bit, I suppose. Yeah, let's get over there, and that's fine. Good. The American 7th Army is down here. 2nd Corps is down here. You are alright-ish. Let's get you a little bit over here so that we can at least try to reach for Palermo. No, we're sort of in the middle of everything. Okay, let's reach over there. It's not ideal, but I think it's okay. Right, so you guys can all prepare. We've got still one airborne division over here where you're supposed to land somewhere over there in the rear. That's okay, we don't need to rush that in any way or form. So yeah, I think that is it for the ground phase this time around. Let's actually briefly check on the priority here of the supply depots, since we do have them open anyway. So since this is the higher level port, I think it's going to be okay to use that. However, definitely Salerno does need to be priority 4 so that we are making sure that supply is being shifted that way. That should be okay. And at this point we might actually say, at least next time around, I think I'm going to decrease the priority of this one so that the supply that is going to be gathered here is going to be forwarded further on, close towards the front line. But for now we do have sufficient forces here that I maybe want to keep them around. So that should be okay. But yeah, very nice result over here. We did beat down a couple of Germans, so that should be a-okay. And let's actually look at the losses over here. So in this turn, yeah, the Axis lost 17,000 men. We lost nearly 500. So I think that's pretty nice. And in terms of air losses, they lost 67 pilots. We did lose twice as many. That's a bit of an issue. But yeah, some of the air fighters are going to survive when they are being shot down over their own territory. Whereas our own, yeah, really won't. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But I think that's just going to be the way it is. Now, up over here, let's see whether next time around we'll be able to beat them back over there. I think with Sardinia we're relatively fine, but with Sicily, with Corsica over here, we will need to be a little bit more careful. I think we will need to send some troops their way. Now, I did want to show you, though, that we are doing pretty well, I think, in one regard at least. So let's look at the Axis fuel situation. And if you see that down here, so we might actually get rid of that. So they started out the war with about 700,000 fuel. Now, I think this very clearly shows that our efforts are doing pretty well. So their fuel stores are being reduced quite dramatically over here. Up over here, there seems to be somewhat of a plateau. I'm not sure whether that is due to less activity on their side, maybe a little bit of unlucky die rolls on our side. But yeah, you can see they were being brought down very drastically, and I think they are starting to see a lot of issues. And to double down on that a little bit, what I've done in between episodes is I have, let's get rid of this here for a second, let's clear all filters. Up over here, no, down here, we have now 2 groups of B-24 Liberators, and they might be able to do something with the oil fields next time around, but we'll have to see whether that is going to really work out in our favor. Oh, I should do one more thing then, if I can. Now, I should be able to do that, right? So let's have a look here at where the recon aircraft are. So, Strategic Air Force, you should have some recon aircraft. That's a couple of fortresses. That's everything. And there we are, the F9 fortress. So these are the recon fortresses. These guys I want to move up over here as well. Yeah, they should really have enough capabilities to do that. So yeah, that's pretty great. And you guys just might be able to start spotting some things in Romania. I think this is going to be a very long flight, but since we are capturing some of these airfields now, I'm feeling more confident in that regard. Let's basically briefly again check, by the way, on Taranto. Are we repairing this port? No, we are not. No, we are. So that's okay, we are going to do that. And in Brindisi, I want to say, let's at least start expanding the airbase so that we might actually be able to base some bombers out of here. And ultimately have a shorter flight towards Romania. Right, that being said, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Do leave a like and all of that, and I hope to see you around next time when we are going to continue our strikes on Europe. Bye bye.